I'm sharing how I used photopolymer stamps to stamp on wood. I created these distressed Christmas mini rolling pins. You can use these for all kinds of decorations. Hey everyone, it's Joy here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. So I got these mini rolling pins from Amazon, and I am adding some antique wax. I'm using, I think it's Waverly. I got this from my local craft store, from Joann's, and it's just this beautiful antique wax, and I'm going to just get all of these having to have this base color on them. So I'm doing that, and then just using a dry paper towel to wipe the excess off. You can also use a wet paper towel, which I will use a little bit later, and I'll show you why I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to also use my blow dryer. I use that off camera, but that helps to dry things so much quicker in between paint layers. In between doing this wax and painting, I did my blow dryer on it on a nice good hot setting, and it dries really super quick. So this first one, I'm using a chalk paint. It doesn't really matter because I'm also going to be using craft paint. I actually think the craft paint went on easier than the chalk paint, but both were fantastic. This is in plaster. I think this is Waverly as well. And so I'm going to do 2 coats. I'm just showing you the first coat. I'm going to blow dry in between each coat. I am just painting right up to the edge. I want the handles and the side pieces where the handle goes in to stay that beautiful stained wood color. I mentioned that these are going to be distressed, which we are going to distress these. I love that they're Christmas. These can be used for all kinds of fun Christmas decorations. This one now I'm going to be using just some craft paint, painting it red. I think this is Santa red. You could add these to a bowl on your kitchen table, on your kitchen counter, as a cute little decoration. You could just make tons of these. You could add this to a hostess gift, like when you come, a lot of people will bring a beautiful towel with a spoon or a towel with a cutting board. You could add this to that. A tray of goodies, you could add a tag to this and put that on top so they could have a little decoration along with their goodies. So you could do a lot of things with this. Then I have this beautiful green. Again, this is a craft paint. I do not remember what green this is, but obviously pick the colors that you love. I totally want to do more of these because these were so much fun to make, you guys. I just had a blast. Okay, let's start with our stamping. Now that everything is dry, this is the Twas the Night stamp set. I'm inking it up with archival jet black ink because it does not smear or smudge. Whatever I planned on doing to this, I had no idea what I was going to do to this. This stamp set is from Brass and Bliss Company. You may have it if it's older with their rubbernecker. They used to be rubbernecker. So now that I have it inked up, I'm just going to slowly and gently roll down the stamp. Now, I will say I did not roll it all the way to meet. So I go back in that little open area, I stamp. Now I will say some of these rolling pins, the center part does not roll independently from the handles. Some of them do. I like when they don't roll independently. So if they roll independently, you'll need to hold the body of the rolling pin, not the handles, because you don't want that center part to roll separately than how you're rolling it, if that makes sense. But look at how cute that is. Okay, now I'm going to do this white one. I am using scrapbook.com's Big and Bold Holidays. This is going to say Merry Christmas. I will say you do need to put a good amount of pressure. This stamp, I didn't do as much pressure as I should have. I will say I left it because it's going to be distressed anyways, and so this would have been extra distressed, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. But it was totally fine because it was even across the whole word Merry. So I'm lining that up. Again, this one does not roll independently from the little arms there, and I should have pressed harder because you'll see the Merry is not perfectly stamped, but it's totally okay because it's distressed. So the next one that I'm going to do, I do get a little bit of a better stamp, but I also think it's because I was holding the body of the rolling pin. So this one is from the Big and Bold Christmas stamp set from scrapbook.com. It says, "Believe in the magic of Christmas," inking it up with that archival jet black ink from Ranger Ink. And now I'm holding the body. I'm off the stamp and I'm just going to start rolling evenly and a lot of pressure, and I got a really good image that way. I think it turned out so nice. It wasn't perfect, but I think that's totally fine. I think that's absolutely the charm of this. I was showing my husband off camera. Okay, now that I gave it just a few seconds for the ink to dry, like I took my heat tool to it, or my blow dryer. Even though it didn't stay wet, I just wanted to make sure. Now I'm just taking not a heavy grit sandpaper and just lightly sanding the edges of the body, not the little handles, around the edges, along the center. I want to see some wood come through that. I am going to have to use that stain again, but that's actually good because I want some of that antique wax stain to go onto the paint and darken that up. So now we have this nice sanding. I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm going to do the same thing. Now I will say that the ink, even though it's smudge proof, maybe it's different when it's on craft paint. When I was sanding it, it did start to, I don't know, the sanding picked up some of the ink. I don't think the ink smudged. I think the sanding took up some of the ink and kind of put it onto the other areas just a little bit. I was able to sand it off. It was not a big deal. It totally looks fine. Like you can't even see it on camera. Like it's not a big deal. But I do want to mention that it did do that just a little bit, but I think it was the sanding, not the inking. Let's do our last one. Again, I'm going over the words, going over the edges. I want to see the wood on the edges. I want that to be raw. I want to have some wood showing on the body of that rolling pin. But aren't these so cute? Think about what a fun little gift, like if you had a little baking party at your house or something, and you could do this and create like a little stencil with your Cricut or something with everybody's name on it. Wouldn't that be a cute little thing? I just think these are so darling. So let me just finish sanding this one, wiping all of that off of there. I think I'm going to go back into this one. I'm kind of sanding in the opposite direction, cleaning up some of the ink that with the sand that kind of moved, and wiping all of that off. Now I'm bringing that antique wax back in. I'm going over the edges that I sanded because it's sanded away the wax that we added earlier. And then of course I want to add it to the paint. And this is where I'm going to add a little bit of water to my paper towel. That's going to help kind of blend it out so it's not just this really thick line from my paintbrush. So a little bit of water helps here definitely, but you can see I'm just kind of adding lines. I'm going to wipe that off, and then I'm just going to spritz my paper towel with a little bit of water, and then I can kind of clean that up, which I think I didn't do it on that one. I must have gone back to that one, but I do on this green one. So the same thing, just a small paintbrush around the edges, and then going across the whole little body of this mini rolling pin. I'm going to use these as a decoration in a little bowl for my house. I just think they're so darling. Sorry guys, that was my phone. And yeah, these are so super cute. So let me blend that a little bit more. I think that's the paper towel I added a little bit of water to. But look at how great and distressed that looks. I absolutely love it. Let's do our next one here, and then we're going to add some decorations to these. I just went and found some greenery. You can find it at the dollar store. You can find it at your any craft store. I think I got mine at Michael's. I like to buy like the big garlands or a wreath if it's got really beautiful leaves and stuff, because then I can just cut it apart and use little pieces rather than just buying like a bunch of sprigs. I do that sometimes as well, but I think usually it is a little more expensive up front, but I think you end up getting kind of more for your money. So here I have a little bit of water on there, and you can see it's blending that antique wax out nicely. So I don't just have a big chunk everywhere. But look at how pretty that is. I just think these are so cute. I love mini anythings. So now that that's done, we are going to make some bows. My husband made me a bow maker. I'm going to go back in and add a little more to this red one. He made me a bow maker a few months ago. He just kind of looked online to kind of see what they look like and surprised me with it, which is really sweet. I am not someone who does a lot of bows, but probably because, you know, they're tricky and you can't ever make them look nice. I don't know what, I just could never make them look nice. So I am going to use the bow maker that he made for me. I am going to distress some of the ribbon that I'm going to be using. I have some really beautiful green ribbon that I got from Michael's. Yeah, so we're going to do that here in just a second. Those are all finished. Okay, so I've got this red and white striped ribbon. I am, what is this, walnut stain or walnut something, distress oxide. I can't even think of the name right now, you guys. From Tim Holtz. I'm just going to run that across my ribbon just to soften that white. It was just too bright white, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this ribbon here. It really reminds me of buffalo check, even though I don't know that it is because it's so thin, but it reminds me of that, and I just think it's really, really cute. So I'm gonna do that to both sides of that, and then I'm just gonna make this tiny little ribbon. So I'm gonna cross it over. I'm gonna tuck one underneath and then pull it one of the sides and then pull it over the top. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot in the back, and this will leave us our tail. And then I can pull it off of my two little sticks here. And I'm just making sure before I pull it off that the center is nice and centered, that it looks good. And then I can kind of just adjust the bow. And we've got a cute little bow here. And I'm going to do the same thing for the next one. So I'm going to pull it around, tuck one side under and over the top, and then tie a little knot in the back, and we have our tail here. So then you can just kind of play with it and adjust it, making sure everything is nice and even. Then for the red rolling pin with all the little writing on there, I just have a piece of this beautiful dark green ribbon. I'm just going to wrap this around it. I love the size of it. It's perfect. It's not covering up all of the work that we just did on this rolling pin, but I love that this is going to look a little bit different. So I'm using some hot glue. I'm going to put that in place. I can wrap that around, add a little more hot glue. This hot glue gun is so old, you guys. I've had this, I think, since my kids were little. I have like 2 brand new ones in my drawer, and I should probably take a look at those and pull them out, but this guy's been working so good. So that one is done. Now I've got some greenery that I trimmed down. I'm going to glue some pieces together because I needed smaller ones, not big ones. And then I have those mini gold bells. I could not tell you where I got those from. I'm sure it was probably Michael's or Joann's because I've had them in my drawer forever. And I'm going to adhere this greenery and those cute little red berries to that green ribbon. And then I'm going to use 3 of those bells at the bottom of the green ribbon, and I'm going to cluster those together, almost like when you look at holly berries and leaves. It's kind of clustered like that. So I need to glue down another little spot, and then I'm going to place those down. I think those are perfect. Adds a little shiny element. You could age these guys with like some Mod Podge and cinnamon, or Mod Podge and coffee. You could do something like that if you wanted to have your bells a little bit old, but I didn't mind that they had a nice shine to them. So I'm going to add that third one, and then this one is done. How cute is that? Okay, now I'm going to go on to my other 2. I'm going to place some greenery on the left side. 2 little pieces of greenery. I have a dot of liquid glue, and this greenery has like flocking on it and glitter. I think it's so pretty. I think all of my things have flocking and or glitter, and I just love that. It just feels a little frosty and snowy. I decided this needed some red against this green, so I'm going to add some of those little berries. I just kind of pulled it off of a wreath that I had, and then I'm going to tuck that down in the front. Then we can place that looks like a buffalo check ribbon. I'm going to make sure that looks cute, and I'm going to place that right on the front there. But you can see how easy these are to put together. Even the stamping was super easy. Like, I was surprised at how well that went. I was totally scared to do it, but it really turned out so nice. I'm going to create little dovetails at the end of my ribbon and then just trim that off. Let's go to our last one, and then we can take a look at these up close and how cute they are. So a little bit of the berries with some of that greenery, and then I have what looks like pine needles or a little pine sprig. So I'm going to have one of each of those. And then this is going to have that red and white striped ribbon. And remember, we distressed those with walnut stain, distress oxide ink. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue and place that there. Super cute. And I decided to add a bell to both of these in the center of the ribbon, like that was going to be the little piece that's on the center. So I'm going to bring that green one back in and put that in place. These little bells are the perfect size for this. That's cute. And then let's add one to the red ribbon, and then I can trim that off, the excess of that ribbon off, and create some dovetails as well. And then let's take a look at these up close here in just a second. I was removing all of my little, not hot chocolate, hot glue. My brain is, yeah. Anyways, little hot glue strings, I was removing those. Okay, let's take a look at these up close. Look at the distressing and the stamping on that. And then you have all of that beautiful green ribbon and all of the fun little greeneries and bells. And then this one is really distressed, which I love. I love the pop of red with that ribbon and the berries. And then our green one here is just so Christmassy. I love how these turned out. Let me know which one you guys like down in the comments. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas, and I will see you guys soon with another video.